Thank you. Hi, I'm Brendan. I'm the co-founder and CEO of SidelineSwap, an online marketplace where athletes can buy and sell their sports gear. Soon after I graduated from college where I'd played lacrosse, I had to buy some new sports equipment. And I forgot how expensive this stuff is. If you're the parent of a youth athlete, you probably know this problem all too well. There are over 45 million youth athletes in the country, and they spend an average of $600 a year on equipment. In total, this is a $100 billion retail market. Yet, access to high-quality used gear is actually pretty hard to come by. It surprised us to find out that less than 15% of the listings on eBay are used. It's mostly stores selling new stuff. And Play It Again Sports, the largest franchise in the space, has closed nearly half its stores in the last 15 years and has never gone online. Yet massive marketplaces were being built in other categories, like fashion, arts and crafts, music equipment, and even sneakers. Several of these companies are well on their way to $1 billion valuation if they're not there already. Yet sporting goods didn't have a similar solution. So in 2015, we launched SidelineSwap. We made it easy for athletes to buy and sell their sports gear. And since then, we've been on a pretty good run. We have over 200,000 users, and they're buying and selling millions of dollars worth of equipment. The average savings is 15%, and the average seller makes over $500 a year at the end of each season. We've participated in Mass Challenge, the Harvard Innovation Lab, as well as 500 startups. But it's really important to understand who our user is. They're mostly high school and college athletes selling online for the first time. They send over 100,000 messages a month. They ask questions like, hey, I wear this size shoe. Is this the right size skate for me? And the sellers are athletes too, so they could give you the type of advice you'd usually get at a sports store. 90% of our sellers have never sold on another marketplace. Most of our users are younger than eBay and Craigslist, which is why we have more used inventory than eBay in our top categories. We also have professional sellers building their businesses on the platform, several of whom have earned over $100,000 just last year. And they source inventory from some really interesting places, like professional and college sports teams. This is Eric Fanelli. He's one of our sellers from Connecticut. He was featured on CNBC recently for how he turned a $5,000 investment in used hockey gear into a $100,000 a year gig. I have a great team of former college athletes and startup veterans. We're backed by some great investors, both from Boston and across the world. We've raised over $4 million to date. And our goal at the end of the day is to build the largest marketplace in sports and to be the top shopping destination for athletes anywhere. I want to show you how it works and why it's so easy to get young kids to sell their gear. Thank you. Great. Give this a second to transition. Excellent. So I brought this helmet up here with me. I'm going to show you how selling works and how this is a different experience than eBay. So starts by creating an account, which I already did. We're going to take a couple photos. So got one, turn it around. And so this is one of the ways we ensure quality, which is with good photos, a good description, and then you also see the chat feature. So we go in, this is a helmet. So we're going to pick hockey helmet. This is used. Bauer. It's our top category, and a large helmet. Put a Bauer Harvard hockey helmet. This retails for about $150. We'll list it for 50% off. And we know how big a hockey helmet is and how much it is to ship, so we take care of that part for you. I'm going to list it, and we'll see if I know somebody who might be in the market for a hockey helmet. Who Kevin is luckily sitting in the audience and might want his helmet back. So obviously you caught a couple things there. We make this a very seamless experience. Most of our users are used to listing stuff on social media. We try to get it as close to that as possible, while also giving the buyer all the information that they need to make a purchasing decision. All right, looks like I got an offer. Oh, not yet. Yep, so we sold. Excellent. And so now you see I have the option to print a shipping label. Thanks. I'll ship it tomorrow. Send. Great. And so I can print the label and send it. I'm running pretty long on time, but that gives you an idea how it works. That's it. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yeah.
So how exactly does the shipping label work? Does it send by email?
So the question is, how does the shipping label work? So it's a prepaid shipping label. The buyer paid for it during the checkout. I got a link to click and print it. So you have to just get to a printer and print the prepaid label. The buyer will get notifications through the process. We have a buyer guarantee that's part of purchasing used goods. The funds won't be released until the item's delivered and clears the dispute window. Yep.
What about price discovery? Like I noticed, like Amazon, a lot of people, they make it very easy for you to say, this should be $32. How do you handle price discovery? Do you handle counteroffers? How do you handle that part of the process?
So we have some basics in place so far. We recommend that you list it 40% off. We give some detail around what other things are selling for, but that's kind of the next step of pricing recommendations of where the market is today, as well as, hey, you got a $100 offer. Most of these items are selling for $80. This is a good deal. So those are the kind of next steps of taking the data that we have and basically democratizing the data and giving all sellers the opportunity to be great. Yep.
Is there any like copyright concern or anything? If I just sold a Harvard helmet online, what do you have to do as a retailer or as a marketplace, and what do I have to do as a consumer to sell that?
So it's up to the seller to understand what restrictions that they have. Some manufacturers have restrictions on new goods. There's really no restrictions on used goods. So you can sell Harvard stuff on eBay. You could sell it on Sideline. We have to be a little bit careful with how we market it, but for the most part, there's really no issues with it. We're probably 30% of college seniors in hockey, lacrosse, and skiing sell their gear when they're done with their career on Sideline. Yep. Yep.
Did you have, so it seems like you had a lot of velocity towards the last couple quarters on your graph. That's how much you grew. Did you find any challenges to scale to that? Or?
So the question's about scaling recently. So we have to scale both sides of the marketplace. We've gotten very good at getting supply into the market, both by activating new sellers and the businesses like the guy who's featured on CNBC. They could bring on thousands of items very quickly. And so we've gotten very good at that, as well as on the demand side. So we feel like we're in a pretty good position to grow, but it took a while to figure all that out and get there. Selling, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, I mean, we try to work just like eBay would. Like, we don't, because we're only in the US and Canada, we don't have as many counterfeit issues as Amazon or eBay. But yeah, I mean, if we have a report feature, if something comes up and something is reported stolen, we'll obviously work with somebody to resolve that. Yeah.
What percentage of the merchandise on your app is new versus used? Like, ideally, where do you want that to be?
Good question. So used versus new, it's about 60% used, 40% new. So you get some for Christmas you're not into. This is a great way to cash in on it. And we have professional sellers who are selling new goods too. So I mean, we definitely see an opportunity to be in both markets. Yeah.
I noticed that you're thinking into team sports right now, and sort of the college and school athlete market. As you scale, are you thinking about expanding into something like cycling? That's a huge aftermarket for used cars, but it's really not served by anyone central.
Yeah, so the question is, we're in team sports now. Where do we go from here, specifically with cycling? Yeah, so we're in hockey, lacrosse, baseball, skiing, and golf. So we just launched bikes, and so we're moving into the bike market. We definitely see fishing and water sports, and there's plenty of opportunity. Sporting goods are really expensive anywhere where there's a high ticket value. Those sports are much better suited for us. Like, it makes sense to sell a $2,000 bike, which is the average price in bikes, and so even if it's a little bit difficult to ship. So definitely where we see ourselves going, and yeah, so we're on our way there. Yep.
Yeah, sort of in conjunction with that, and then the earlier question about that, for things like that, are you going to look at serialization? Because
for instance, if I'm in Berkeley and I'm acquiring bikes off the street and then reselling them on your app, again, you're looking at a $2,000 ticket item, it's going to be serialized as opposed to a helmet, which is less likely to be productive.
So about security, again, we are definitely trying to build that stuff into the product, build insurance, build seller verification. So we're working on all that stuff. It luckily has not been a big challenge to date, and the peer-to-peer nature kind of protects that. But I'm out of time.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.